let's see. Yeah, let me get adjusted. Make sure my camera's focused where I want it to be. Yep. Okay. So welcome to me green stuffing this Hellforged Scorpius. Now, maybe y'all can tell I overglued a little bit. Well, mostly I glued and it got stuck to my fingers. And so obviously for something like green stuff, if you guys watched my other cultist video, y'all need your green stuff. So I like to buy the 3-foot rolls because I use a lot when I'm modeling. And a big old tub of just miscellaneous tools. Now, I use some stuff that are household goods, you know, like a comb. This is a seashell that I got out of the ocean here. A pen, you know, screwdriver. These allow for various textures and things that you might want to do. Now, well, and obviously I bought a hobby modeling kit. I got this on Amazon for like 10 bucks. And it came with a bunch of different tools, so. Now, the two most critical components are your green stuff and petroleum jelly. So I like Walgreens brand just because it's super cheap. And, you know, anything to make our hobby cheaper. And so that's my little spiel about what I use for green stuffing. Now, let's see. And I'm gonna do a lot of self-talking through this video because I do self-talk a lot. And so for this guy, I tend to like a lot of tentacles and rotted bits for my Nurgle things. Man, I really need to file this down some more. I think that's why the turret's not sitting right. So bear with me while I try to chop this down some. I know y'all are probably sitting there like, what the hell? Maybe he's gonna chop a finger off. Which, I mean, I guess that would get a lot of views, right? Yeah, there we go. Maybe. 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 Okay. And always try to keep your area clean for when you guys are doing green stuff, because all this dust and particles and stuff could end up in it, which will make it not look nearly as nice. All right. So hopefully that got the turret down enough. Oh yeah, much better fit. There we go. Much happier. Or one Scorpius. All right. Now for the turret, I don't know. I might do a few like. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So last night I forked through my bit, or I went through my bits, and I'm running kind of low on Nurgle stuff. And so today, if y'all saw some of my other models, I like to do like a wall of heads that are pucks. Yeah, Plague Bears, it's real early in the morning. I'm waiting on coffee to brew right now. So probably when I take a break, I'll go get some coffee. Man. Maybe do a live stream later this morning. Who knows? Got a tournament today. Be pretty excited. Pretty excited about it. Even though I'm running it. Yeah. Being a TO is fun. So when you guys are mixing your epoxy, the more yellow you put in it, the more green that the epoxy will be. Or the more light green. And then the more blue you put in it, the more dark green that it will be. Now, the only thing that affects is its malleability and its drying time. So if you use more blue, it's going to be harder and you guys can do more stiff shapes. Whereas if you put more yellow, it'll be really soft and it's good for more organic shapes. So for me, I tend to actually prefer the 50-50 method. This seems to work pretty well for me. And so this is how I mix my green stuff. Now y'all might be wondering right now, what's the purpose behind the petroleum jelly? Well, petroleum jelly is a lubricant, right? And so because of that, now I did use water when I started doing green stuff, and it works okay. The biggest reason I don't like water is that it dries up really, really fast. So you're constantly wetting your fingers to stop, because the green stuff, as you guys can see, is super sticky. So, and the other thing is you don't want fingerprints or finger imprints on your green stuff, right? That kind of ruins the majesty that, hey. So I don't petroleum jelly my fingers generally, but I will, however. So I'm going to go ahead and break off a bit of green stuff here. And so for me, I want a little bit in between the turrets there. So hopefully, can you all see that? Oh, yeah. Sorry, trying to see. Yeah, y'all can see that. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit between the turrets there. And probably a little bit. Use my Scorpius as a holding platform. And do a little bit right here. Oh, that's what those last two bits were. It's the missiles. Okay. I'll have to go back and put those in, but. And then a little bit right there. So y'all can see. So I'm kind of doing it like that. I'll probably put a little bit on the back too, which, there it is. So I lose my green stuff quite a bit, so try to put it somewhere where y'all won't forget it. The worst thing ever is to step into it on your carpet. Ugh, it's so awful. So now I'm going to use this seashell for these side pieces, and what it does is it gives me some nice poxes. I'm just going to add a little bit of petroleum jelly onto my seashell here. And so this is a nice quick way to get a bunch of little holes into it. Voila. And so hopefully y'all can see that, but now it looks almost like a squid tentacle. Next, I'm going to use my little pokey tool here. And what I'm going to do is I'm kind of like a piece of pie, or a pie. You know, if you've ever watched your grandma with her fork, she kind of crimps the ends of the pie to seal the two pieces. I'm lightly just going along the edge of the green stuff and pulling it out. And so what that does is it gives kind of the illusion that the plague bits or the flesh or whatever you want to make it is coming out of the middle. And like I said, it kind of looks like pie crust almost. That's what I tend to prefer. Oddly enough, for a guy that loves Nurgle stuff and loves all the rot and decay and blah, 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 real photos of rot and decay nauseate me. So my wife likes to get me with that sometimes, because she is not a squeamish person at all. She loves that stuff, like medical marvels, and which I love my wife to death. I'm sure everybody has a SO that likes to get you, right? So as you can see, I've kind of went around that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and finish this side real quick. So with these little bubbles, they'll be fine where they're at. Actually, I really like the way that turned out. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of like go through and just make little holes with the end of this around the poxes. And what it does is it'll help them stand out, but it'll also give texture to the green stuff, so it doesn't just look like a smooth. And if you like the smooth look, you can. I've got tools for smoothing, but all I'm going to do is just kind of go around and do this, because I kind of like how this is looking. So there you go. So part of the turret is done. So let's go ahead and do the other side. And same thing, I'm going to go ahead. Now this side is I made it a little thicker. Yeah, it's actually quite a bit thicker than the other side. And so this is going to require crimping. That's what I'm going to call it, crimping. It's going to require crimping. I'm going to have to bring it out a little further. That way it looks more natural and doesn't look so bulbous. Now, I mean, you could have bulbous flesh and bulbous decay going on here. And this side, I actually got it real good with that seashell. It's got a lot more pustules and poxes on it, so which makes me happy. And so, yeah. And so if you guys did not know, which you might not, depends if you've been watching me for a while or not, Death Guard is what got me back into the game. So I'm always excited to make new Death Guard stuff. I actually put a lot of effort into them. So this tool right here is going to allow me to do like some divots. Because if you see, it's like a ball end. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Apologies if y'all can't see this too well, but and so what I'm doing is I'm going around and kind of like how I did the other end where I did a lot of holes. Instead, I'm making divots all over the place. And I tend to try to overlap the divots, that way it doesn't look so calculated. Like, oh, hey, you purposely sat here and did this. Now I'm just kind of going all over the place, all random. And so now both sides have a different type of texture. And I do really like how those pustules, poxes turned out. Now for this back piece and the piece in the middle, I need to smooth it because I want it to kind of spread some. So that's what these large ball tools are for spreading the green stuff out and kind of getting it into cracks and stuff like that. For this, I'm just going to kind of, just push it in there. And hopefully y'all can see, but I kind of spread it out. Now it looks all bubbly and like pocketed. Now this tool, y'all cannot get anywhere. It is a cell phone tool. It was for my daughter's cell phone, and it's what you use to remove the SIM card out of it. And so when I saw it, like 2 years ago, we were clearing out my daughter's closet, and I was like, why do you have this? She's like, I don't know. And I talked to my wife. I was like, can I have this? And she's like, yep, what do you want it? And it's a perfect tool for green stuff because it's got a pointy end and it's got a nice, dull, blunted end. So, which is kind of sharp, but it's nice and dull. And so that gives me this nice, hopefully y'all can see, but it's a very pocketed and I just love the way that it looks for green stuff. And so I could call that end good, but I'm going to use a pointy. So this is like an angle tool. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to kind of stab at it a little bit. I mean, it looked just fine the way that it was, but I want to kind of pull it a little bit on the edges and get it down in there. That's fine. All right. And then for the middle, I'm pretty much going to repeat the exact same process with that part. Now, the reason why I put some green stuff here in the middle, because I could have left it alone. And I need to actually push it out first. The reason why I did it was because if you're going to go ahead and green stuff, you might as well make it look as green stuffy as possible. I guess that's a word. No, I like to, if I'm going to go ahead and commit to, and you know what, let's do a big ass pustule on this one, or a couple of them. So this is actually a pen cap. I'll get back to my thought here in a minute. And so when I push it in, it leaves some poxes or some big pustules. So usually I use this for like big pustules. Now these pustules don't stand up by themselves. They'll actually start drooping. So I go in and I actually push around them to kind of give them like an angular edges. So push down the edges a little bit. And oop, 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 oop. See, that one fell over. So, and it makes it kind of hard to get them to stand out. So unlike the seashell where those pustules will stand out. Now you can find pen caps that do pustules that'll work and stand up by themselves, but I have yet to find one that I like. Some of the videos that I've watched, you know, they've used the Bic caps and stuff, but I don't know if they have the older Bics, because the newer Bics do not work. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so if I'm gonna green stuff something, I'm gonna go all in. And so if you're gonna spend the time, because it's pretty time consuming, but it's also relaxing. This is probably my favorite thing. I like painting, but it becomes a chore when I'm green stuffing something. I'm just like, I kind of just have my mojo, you know? And so as y'all can tell, I'm grabbing different tools because I want different styles of texture in there. And there we go. So our turret is all mucked up. And I can go ahead and set that off to the side. But yeah, like I was saying originally, Death Guard is what got me back into 40K. So I absolutely love doing stuff with it. Now, generally speaking, I like to do tentacles when it comes to vehicles. I think tentacles are really, really cool. And worms and stuff like that. So for this one, because I cannot obviously do tentacles coming out of the top, because that's where my turret has to go, and I went ahead and I actually glued down the hatches here, so I cannot get tentacles to go out of there. So I'm going to make tentacles coming out of the, you know what, yeah, we'll do it coming out of the side plate here. Now, that might have made some of y'all cringe. I went ahead and clipped a piece of the resin out, but what that does is it creates a hole in the side here that I can get some tentacles crawling out of the front of my vehicle here. Now, do not do it if you are not committed to that course of action. Do not do it if you're not committed to that course of action, because you will have regrets, and that's nothing that I need to be blamed for. So, no regrets, all right? Now, this is where my comb comes in. So, I have actually a good bit of lubricant on my hands just from messing with that last bit. And so to make tentacles, what you'll do is you take like a ball or a tube of your green stuff, and you're just going to roll it on your hand, right? And so we all know when we roll stuff out, which a lot of people, if you watch a lot of YouTubers, a lot of people like to use wax paper or whatever. I just do it in my hand. And so if y'all, well, I'll show you guys here in a second, because I gotta. So the harder you push, the thinner your tentacles are going to be. I think that'll be fine. So there you go. And so what I'm going to do is, because I want texture on the tentacles, I'm going to use the comb, and I'm just going to very lightly push down on it and roll it. So this is actually how when I make my worms and stuff. Now you can do a Tentacle Maker from Green Stuff World, if that's what you choose to do. Me, I just roll out my own tentacles all the time. And so what this is going to do is it's going to look like a giant ass worm coming out of the side here, which I love. It is an aesthetic that I think it just fits Nurgle so damn well. And so I want this first tentacle to just kind of lay down on there. So what I did was I just pushed it into the broken panel a little bit, like that. Pushed it down on the model, and voila, that's my first tentacle. And so I want probably 2 or 3 coming out of the side here. I think that'll be sufficiently wormy enough for the front of the vehicle. And so if you don't like the idea of worms, you could also, you know, make poxes coming out of the side, or bulbous flesh, or there's a lot of stuff you can do. Just kind of depends, and it depends on how bold you are. You know, people like to do mouths. Mouths are a lot of fun to do. I mean, I did mouths on my plague burst crawlers, if y'all saw those. So those require, though, either you have to be able to sculpt teeth, or you need sharp bits that you can use. Now, plague bearer horns. If you chop off the tips of plague bearer horns, those make very, very good teeth. Very, very good teeth. So, oop, as I drop it in my lap. Now you can use either side of the comb. Depends on just kind of how many grooves you want on your worms. Me, I'm fine with just I like the nice thick ones, because the texture really stands out. See? And then you can kind of just, and the neat thing is, once it's molded, especially when you have that much Vaseline on it, you don't really have to worry about putting fingerprints in it, so you can kind of move it wherever you need to. So, which I think I'm going to move this second one up on top. There we go. And actually, that looks fine to me. Like, I don't feel like I need any more worms than that. So, for this little bit of green stuff that I have left, I'm gonna just tuck it down behind the worms a bit, like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I want to turn that into a just like it's pretty much gap filling. A lot of green stuff is especially when I go over the top, is because I'm filling in gaps where I over or underestimated how much I was going to need, and or just to use up, you know, extra green stuff, which is fine. It just really depends on how just crazy you want to go with it. To me, like, I don't, and some people don't like the way I do my green stuff because they say it's over the top, or I just do way too much, and you know, I like it. I think I enjoy what I do, so, you know, you're not here to please everybody in the world, all right? And so I'm just going to make a very light, just pocket of flesh there. And so what it does is it draws the eye away from the fact that there might be a gap there. All right. So the faceplate here on my Rhino, or on my Scorpius, it did not fit completely because this was a secondhand model. At the same time, the bottom plate right here is actually broken, so I should have probably snapped it off before I continued. But to fill that up, so you can gap fill with green stuff. Oh shit. Oh. Now the other issue with green stuff is sometimes you will feel yourself touch your green stuff, and then you are worried that, and I have ruined my work before and had to go back and, you know, like I just felt that tentacle under my finger, and I thought I had squished it down, and it's actually fine, so thank God. But like I was saying, you can gap fill with green stuff. It does not require you to nurgle stuff up or anything. A lot of people just put like a thin layer of green stuff between panels and stuff, or liquid green stuff is good for that. You can tuck it down in there. Like these sharp tools are really good just to jab the green stuff down between panels and things, or on a monster that there's an awfully big hole on them, and you're like, man, that just looks terrible. And so on the side here, there's it doesn't look bad, but it annoys me. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that up there. So hopefully y'all enjoying this video. If you guys enjoy my videos, please subscribe to the channel. You know, I try to post every Monday. Life sometimes gets in the way, so sometimes I'm a little late. Lately, I've actually been on a roll. I've been able to get multiple videos out a week. And so, yeah, so this one, this bound up real good. And then check out our Discord channel. So shout out to Chris. Chris is one of my patrons, otherwise known as Reishi Beats, on our Discord channel. He's Arc Lector. He picks weird names. He picks some weird names, Reishi. But so he actually donated this turret to the channel. So this video comes to you guys courtesy of him. So for the rest of this, because I've already gotten my tentacles. Now tentacles, you can do those last if that's what you want. For me, I like to just kind of slather the green stuff on the whole vehicle in the places that I want to get green stuff on. So because this is obviously not a transport anymore, it is now officially a Whirlwind Scorpius. I'm going to go ahead and put a lot of green stuff on this back door because I want it to look like, you know, you can't get out of it anymore. Should be like controlled by a demon, or I'm sure there's like a plague marine in there, but I'm sure plague marines don't have to eat anymore. So I doubt he ever has to get out of the tank anyway. And so I'm going to put a big ass blob on the back door there. And right now, I'm just kind of planning out where do I want my green stuff at. And I think on this side. So now I've ran out of, I gotta mold up some more green stuff. This is where I say, like, y'all want a lot, especially when you guys start getting into projects, because you never realize how much green stuff you use until you like start doing the project. There's been projects where I'm like, this should just take like a little teeny bit, and then I end up taking like 2 or 3 times the amount. The sun is coming up, so I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Oh yeah, there we go. Get some better light. Yeah. So hopefully the video hasn't been too dark up to this point, but it's 6 in the morning, or was 6 in the morning here when I started my morning off. Finished off that display out in the garage. So excited about that. Oh, it was so much fun to build, and it's gonna be amazing to get photos on it. And so y'all know I built that not specifically but I built that because there is the Crozius GT in Charlotte, North Carolina, yeah. And so for you guys out there who might be looking to go to a GT, now it is a smaller one, 32 people, but it's my very first GT, so I know some people jump in 2 feet first. I'm going to jump in on a smaller one because right now Chaos is not in the best position to win a large event. You know, we're waiting on the facts and all that stuff, see what happens. And so while I love my Chaos to death, I don't have the most confidence that I can take away a large tournament win in the current environment, especially with Iron Hands literally just coming out. And they're scary. Iron Hands are scary. All right. Now, where this angel is on this other door, so this is where I need to be careful because I've got the tentacles, right? Or the worms. And so where this angel is on the other door, I'll show you all here in a second. So there you go. See, I have an angel from Dark Angels on the door there. That's where I'm going to put my Plague Bearer skull wall thing. And so I actually use this effect quite a bit. Some might say overuse, but I really like the way that it turns out. It looks really cool on vehicles and stuff. And so to do it, what you do is you put down a layer of green stuff and put your Plague Bearer heads where you want them. So me, I like to always do like like 3 heads like that. On my Knight, I did a hell of a lot more heads, but that's because there was a ton of surface area to cover. And then once you have your heads embedded in there, what you'll do is you'll make little tendrils of green stuff. So now green stuff, it doesn't dry up super fast. And so that's why I'm going through and I'm spacing out all the stuff, but I have to be kind of quick. So, and what you do is you kind of tuck it around the head, right? So that way just his face and whatever details you want to show are still popping out. It depends on you. Like some people like to have the horns and stuff, which I think on my knight I have some of the horns popping out. He's at the shop right now for the tournament today. I left him there overnight. Mr. Dan, he's really good about hiding models for you. That way you don't have to, so I was like, well, I don't want to bring them home and then have to bring them back. So thank you, Mr. Dan. Thank you, Mr. Dan, for being a great shop owner and a key contributor to the channel, because he's the one that allows me to film all my battle reports. Even though some of his customers are, they get really iffy when you got a camera out and you're like, no, it's pointed towards the table. Yeah, can't see you guys there in the back. Don't worry about it. But I just find it funny. All right. And there we go. So I have spaced out. I have figured out everywhere I want my green stuff. Now I'm going to have to be careful, like I said, because I made the worms. And the reason why I made them first and got them out there is so that way I know where not to touch. Because like I said, I've touched my green stuff more times than I care to count. So we'll go ahead and start on the back door first. I'm going to go ahead and lubricate up my shell. So my shell is a great tool. So if you guys have a beach nearby, and the cool thing is, you know, shells have all sorts of different patterns. So it just kind of depends. You guys can find some really cool stuff, and it gives you nice, unique patterns for your models. Yeah. Yep. So the green stuff on, it's not thick enough to pick up the holes from the thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of dot it around the vehicle on various surfaces, because it's not going to work just for the back. So all right, and I can't do it around the head, so but as y'all see, it didn't really pick up on the back, but on the tops and the side here it did pick up a little bit. So but what that does is it just gives me a good start. Now this tool right here, this is a Bead Reamer or something like that. It was something my wife had. And so it's really good because it's got these little bristles and they're super stiff, super stiff. And so I'm going to go ahead and lubricate these up because I'm going to need it here in a bit. It's really good for getting a very fine looking texture on your green stuff. Trying to find a bigger tool, which I don't have. So this right here is a nail anchor, and so this works for really big boxes and holes. So right now I'm just kind of planning out where I want my big pustules. And most people don't plan, like I'm not really planning. I say that I'm planning it, but all I'm really doing is I'm going around and sporadically doing this, because what it does is it gives me an idea of what I need to do and where. If you're a guy that loves doing lots of boxes, I highly recommend going around finding pen caps, find all sorts of, you know, random stuff. You might look like a hoarder or something, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. People will leave you alone, especially when they see what you're doing with it. So, all right. So this is a file. This is probably my favorite hole making tool, and that's because it's got a really thin tip. Now over time, because I've used this so much, so much, it no longer operates appropriately as a file, so it's kind of become primarily a green stuffing tool. And so what I'm doing is I'm going around. So this is the side right here, right? And really it doesn't matter where you pick up. As you guys can see, I'm just going around and just rapidly poking lots and 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 lots of holes. So you can do this with different size tools. I do have various sizes. The reason why I like this one the most is because it's just very easy to operate with. Hopefully y'all can hear that. That's the green stuff sticking and then unsticking to the tool as I go. And so while I'm doing this, I'm actually, I'm not just putting holes all over the place. I'm actually leaving, and it's kind of hard to see on camera, I know. I'm actually leaving spaces where I don't put any holes. And what that does is it kind of creates almost like little pockets of just smooth flesh. And it kind of just gives it a cool texture. It's a nice offset from just, oh hey, look at all these holes. Now I don't do it like all the time. It's kind of like when I see a place that I can go ahead and just leave it alone, I will. And so this actually is molded. As you push the green stuff into the model, it'll start spreading out, and it's actually molded its way into the back door. So, and so as you all can see, I've kind of just, and there's some big boxes on there, so it's gonna look really cool. I'm gonna go back over it real quick with a small tool because I want some smaller holes in there. And I just kind of stab randomly in here. I don't go in here with purpose. I like to poke little holes in top of the boxes too, on a few of them. And then this is where my bead reamer comes in. And so I'm just gonna kind of roughly go over parts of it a little bit. And what it does is it just kind of makes little holes and makes it look very rough. And I like that. I like that texture. I like that. All right, so we'll go ahead and do the box door real quick. So like I said, I have to be, it doesn't dry super fast, but it starts getting stiff really quickly. And the stiffer it gets, the harder it is for you to work with. And if there's stuff that you want to do, like mold it, y'all have to, you have to really get in there and like push real hard. So see, I didn't mix this completely. There's a little bit of yellow in here, so hopefully the yellow just dries by itself. Usually it does, but sometimes you'll end up with soft spots, which really sucks. And it kind of depends on how much of a perfectionist you are. And so here for the heads, because you want them to look like they're like pulling out of the green stuff, you kind of want to grab around the head and just drag the green stuff away from it. And what it does is it'll kind of streak and make it look like the head is pulling out of the green stuff, right? And it's a really cool effect for one, but also, you know, it makes sense. And you can also pull the other way up onto the head if you don't have enough green stuff pulled around it. That way it does the same effect. So, but yeah, make sure you clean it up though. Like if it's starting to look weird, just clean it up, go back, poke it a few times. My little tool is really good for doing this, pulling around the heads. So a lot of these tools, and I'm always looking for new green stuff tools. Like when my wife got out of crafting, because, you know, she started her grad school, so she had to get out of crafting. Because, you know, when you're in grad school, that's her life. is just schoolwork. And so when she got out of it, like I was saying, I went through all of her tools before she sold them or got rid of them or gave them to friends. And I pulled out everything that looked like it might be useful. And so I've got bead reaming tools. I've got, I think the long pokey thing that I show you guys, that was actually I did chainmail for a little bit. And I think that was it was for the chains to hold them. And so that's where I got that guy from. My screwdriver with I have a flat tip screwdriver in here. That's really good for moving around massive bulks of green stuff. I don't use it too often anymore. It was when I got started, I would use it. Now that I've gotten all these nifty tools from Amazon, I kind of just use these primarily for moving around the green stuff, but occasionally I'll whip out the screwdriver to do its job. Yeah, I'm stabbing into this thing real hard. I'm trying to be as conversive as possible. And I'm sorry if y'all can't see this very well. It's just a very tedious process. Oh, man. And I'm using different tools intermittently. As y'all can see, I'm randomly grabbing just a different tool so often. And that's because I don't want to have the exact same texture the whole way through my green stuff. I like to have just varying textures. It makes it just interesting, unique, and then makes it just more fun. But this is the way I like to do it. I've seen people, where they just have a lot of clear flesh and it looks really nice. And it depends on you as a person. All I can do is guide y'all the best I can in the way that I do it. And there we go. So as y'all can see, I've got some big pustules there, and there. The heads, they look like they're pulling out. So this is exactly the effect that I was going for. So now let's go back to the door. Now the door, I think I'm just gonna and I'm pretty sure this is how they do like oh yeah, that's gonna be awesome. And so you guys can see how it looks just like a super pocketed plague mass, which I love. I love the way it turns out. Now the edges, so the edges you could either pull them out, or I'm just gonna go over them with this thing a little bit more. So I have to push pretty hard to get them in there. There we go. And that's fine. So I'm just going for different textures all over this guy right here. Man, I really like the way that turned out on the back there. Usually I'll do that over once I do the holes and pockets. Once I do all like the pockets and stuff like that, I'll go ahead and use my Bead Reamer thing, and I'll go ahead and just run over it real quick, and it gives those nice little cool holes. But I kind of like how it just, like, that would be really cool for like patches of Nurgle's rot on bases and stuff like that. Like, I could see myself just making bases out of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do that right here too. So I don't want to have like too many different textures, because it'll detract from the model as a whole if I'm just like, oh hey, every single patch is completely different. Now, if you guys can see, this one is not going to work very well, because It just looks like a blob of stuff on the sides. So I went ahead and reamed around it, or I reamed over it. And what that does is it's now giving me that nice texture that I liked, that, you know, I just was all giddy about. But said giggity about. And now I'm going to go around and I'm actually going to pull on the sides to get the green stuff to lay flat. And instead of being all bulged up like it was. I need to get a better... So I've got like 3 different cameras I use for, you know, my filming. I've got my phone, I've got my GoPro, I've got a Nikon D something. It's a DSLR. My wife, we bought it for my wife's school when she was going through photography class, because a requirement for the class... Ah, damn it, see? I messed up the top right here. My finger went into it. So let me go ahead back into it and just do that real quick. So boom, fixed. All right, I'm gonna have to be cautious. Talking too much. But anyways, yeah, we bought her the camera for her college class. So got that SLR that I use. I don't use it very often. I used it for the, was it the Death Guard Codex, I think? Yeah, I used it for Death Guard Codex. I need to whip it out more, but it's in storage right now for the move. So I figured I'll just use the GoPro and the phone. All right. There we go. Boom. Look at that. Hell yeah. Okay, I gotta be very cautious now. So I'm getting to the point of the green stuffing. Now, you can just do this in stages. I am a super impatient person, though. Like, seriously, super impatient. And I know that. And so I try to get this stuff done all in one go. Now, you would think that I would just get frustrated and stop doing it. But I love doing it. It's just I don't like going back to a model and green stuffing it multiple times. Now, if I'm doing like a layered project with my spider defiler, I had to go back to him like 2 or 3 times. And that's just because to get the effect that I wanted, I had to layer the green stuff. But if you don't have to, I don't like to go back. I like to just do it all in one go. That's why I'm just, see, finger went into that one. But if you guys do, go ahead and, you know, yeah, wait for it to dry and then come back, and then you will not run into the problems that I run into where my fingers go into the green stuff and I have to go back and fix my fingers. Some might call me ridiculous and stupid. But my methods are my own and they work for me, so. I call myself stupid, though, sometimes. I'm like, why do I do things that I do sometimes? But, all right. I think that's fine. So, all right. Now we're on our last panels. Yay! And so for these, the, actually use the cell phone tool again. The seashell did work. And so the best, I'm going to do my best not to ruin the bubbles that the seashell made. We'll see. So sorry I'm not being as conversive right now. And that's because I need to really focus on not ruining the green stuff on this back door, because my finger keeps getting incredibly, incredibly close to it. Now some of y'all might be giggling because I could have left this, because it was a Dark Angels transport. Because, you know, Dark Angels are chaos. But, yeah. All joking aside, I really don't think that's the way that they're gonna proceed with that story. Though I am interested to see what happens with Cypher. Like what's been his deal the whole time. You know, they keep saying he's waiting for the lion and blah 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 blah, and he's got some big secret, and just waiting on the payoff. And I keep going back and adding more Vaseline to this. And there we go. I'm on the last one. So hopefully this video has been informative for you guys. Hopefully it's taught you guys some tricks. Hopefully it gets you guys to go to the Hobby Lobby or go loot your mom or wife or significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend. Go loot their crafting supplies and go steal stuff for Nurgle. Now, I mean, there's some really good green stuffers out there. I haven't really gone on YouTube and watched any lately, and that's because I've just been so distracted with my move, and got a lot of stuff going on right now. So I generally keep my YouTubing to competitive stuff and watching other people's battle reports like Scary and the other guys to pick up more ideas, because that tends to be the videos that I have most time for. But Chris did ask me to go ahead and make a video of me green stuffing this. He wanted to work in progress pictures, but you know what, Chris? Suck it up, man. You're getting video. That way you can see where your hard spent money went for the glory of Nurgle. And your hands will start getting sore. If you guys can't tell, I have not taken a break at all, which is cool. I think I've been here, I don't know how long, maybe an hour. So once you guys get pretty good at this, I mean, my first few models, man, I think my Typhus took me like, I don't know, longer than I care to mention, but because he was my second green stuffed model. But really, like, green stuffing is not that hard. It's just what do you want to do with it? If you want to start getting into sculpting, you know, and in which case you're not going to be using green stuff anyway. Green stuff is not... You can sculpt stuff out of it, but it's super squishy and it likes to droop. So it doesn't like to hold its shape very well. So I think it's gray stuff is the stuff people usually mold models out of. Alright, yep, and I like how that looks. Yep, see, I went ahead and I squished that side again. Damn it. Ah! Go back in. And I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the reamer. That way it covers up the fact that I touched it. Alright, cool. And so, we'll go ahead and hopefully this doesn't go out of focus, but... And so this is our Nurgle Fighter right now. I really, really enjoy how this back panel turned out. Like, that made me incredibly happy. And we got our worms on the front. And so I need to let this dry. I cannot put the turrets back on it until it's done drying. Put the turret next to it, and voila! Go ahead and close this window. Oh god, that light was getting in my eyes. And there we go. So, yeah, we'll go ahead to the outro, and I'm gonna clean up.